Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Amber Wolf, and I am here today to talk about the Lemurian Tuning Forks. There's this little booklet. And the Pineal Tuning Forks. It's hard to see. At any rate, I'm making this video because people ask me for more information all the time. But let me say that when you begin with these amazing instruments of healing, read that booklet, because Jonathan Goldman, who is the creator of these tuning forks, has written really well exactly what to follow when you're in there. And one of the beautiful things that he talks about is intention, and the intention of healing. So you don't just, you wouldn't just go to see someone for healing without an intention behind it. So if you're doing your own sound healing or sound healing with someone else, have that intention behind it. Many people walk up to my table at the Crying events and just pick the tuning forks up and start, doing stuff. And that's not very intentional. So how about using these beautiful tools for healing, because they're specifically focused sounds that assist us in enhancing the activation of our spiritual consciousness. So bring that intention, or whatever you would like your intention to be, into this work every time you pick up a tuning fork or whatever other healing that you're doing. So these particular tuning forks, the Lemurian tuning forks, are based in the frequency of 432 hertz. Hertz is a sound measurement. And it's 432, which is the magic component of 1108, so 108. So that creates a sound spiral, specifically when you use them together. And my favorite way of doing this is using all four of these at the same time. So 3 in one hand, and again, there's a great picture of this in the book. And then you can either use the striker. I find it much simpler to do this. And then bring them alongside of your head or the person's head, or around, even a full body. And one thing to note is that you shouldn't bring them any closer to 1.5 to 2 inches from your ears. And after the initial sound wave comes through, you'll still be able to hear the tones that are underneath. Those, for me, are the most beautiful place. It's kind of like the angels start singing when that's happening. You can also use these one at a time, and you use them on the striker, looks like this. And keep your wrist kind of soft when you do this, and hit it pretty hard. And you can also, if you want an even softer sound, you can pinch it like this, which this may be really hard for you to hear. But if you're working with someone who has, they're in a place of very soft depth in their healing, you don't want to give them this really bright sound. You want to give them something soft. So all four of these tuning forks in the set, the Lemurian set, can be used together or separately. So there's these 3 that I had in the one hand and the fourth. And along with intention also comes intuition. And here's the thing about using them. You need to begin to feel what your innate is telling you, what the activation is inside of you. What is your inner being calling for? And start listening to that. Read the book, hear this video, and then go inside and find out what it is that's specifically calling for you. Now with the Lemurian tuning forks, when you use them together, you can also, you will create something called a sound spiral. And that's because of the resonance, the 108 times 4, the 432 hertz. Together, that creates a sound spiral. So that's kind of a nice way to begin with your intention, is that this sound spiral creates a cocoon of beautiful healing energy around you or the person that you're working with. And then let your intuition take you further. Don't stop with one or two things. Meditate first before you begin. Create an intention for healing for people, and then let your intuition take you there. Okay? All right, so number 2 on this video is the Pineal Activator, and that's this little tuning fork. And you can see how different it is. This is the smallest in the Lemurian set, but also notice that the pineal is gold-plated, and that's one of the reasons that it is so beautiful in its tone, and it's a much softer, slower, longer wave than the brightness in the Lemurian set. So when I strike this on here, and I'm going to put the striker down on my table and strike it, you hear a very different, very soft tone, but that's because it's powerful. It's really powerful. And you can strike it and hold it in front of your third eye. You can also use the end of it right against your third eye if you'd like. And one thing to remember about this baby is that it is powerful. One time is enough to begin clearing the connection between your third eye and your pineal gland, and your crown chakra and your pineal gland. Now, the pineal is a very important little gland deep, deep in the center of the brain, and that is where melatonin is produced and serotonin. And if you've been drinking fluoridated or chlorinated water for most of your life, like many people have, that little gland gets encrusted. Now, it's like a muscle, and it moves to secrete the serotonin and the melatonin. And when it's encrusted, it can only, instead of opening and closing, it can only move a tiny bit. And what are the results of that is that less melatonin, and probably sleeping not as well, and less serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. So moving that energy, actually, with this little tuning fork, you can actually clear that incrustation from the physical pineal gland. So that's the wonderful thing about it, using this physically. Now, using it spiritually to awaken the connection between the third eye and the pineal gland, and the crown chakra and the pineal gland. I believe that once the pineal is clear physically, it is much more likely to create that connection spiritually. So work on it with your intention for clearing, and really only use it once the first time you use it, and then wait 15 minutes before doing it again. More is not better here. And never use it more than 3 times in a row. And people ask me, how often should I repeat that? And I say, again, ask your innate. Ask your pineal gland. Go inside of you, because your answer is the best answer for you. So I've given you some guidelines about how often to use it, what the physicality of it is, what the spirituality is. And then once you've begun to use it on a regular basis, check in with your innate. Check in and see. Because once you start using these tools for transformation, these sound healing tools, that part of you starts to come alive and starts to talk to you more. And that's what we want, isn't it? We want to be able to have that internal communication that's been shut off for most of our lives. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you'd like about this. You can always email me at dramberwolf@gmail.com. That's amberwolf@gmail.com, and put in the subject line Tuning Forks, and I'm happy to answer your questions. And enjoy your transformation. Namaste.